Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of JavaScript for Beginners tutorials. My name remains Vincent Hope, and today we're going to be treating JavaScript objects. But before we jump into the lecture, I just want to say that we've been treating a series of JavaScript tutorials, and the idea is to give you a foundational knowledge of what you can use JavaScript to do in your programming, front-end programming. Now, it is not exhaustive, means that we give you the foundation. From there you can build. So for the things that we may not cover in the tutorials, you can always have the opportunity to go Google it and find out one or two information for the thing you are looking for. So we are building the tutorial because this may be the last lesson in our series, which is not exhaustive, but for just to cover the fundamentals of JavaScript. So let's jump right into it. So we are on lesson 7, JavaScript objects. So what's an object in JavaScript? An object is simply a container for properties or methods. A container for properties or methods. What does that mean? Now let's take this car as an object. Under its properties, we have car name, Tesla, car model T500, we're just using assumptions. Car weight 1,500 kilograms, car color white. These are all under the properties of the car, which can be any car. Then the method, every car can start, every car can be driven, every car has a brake, every car can stop. These are methods. So let's look at some basic definitions. Car objects have the same properties. Every car has a name, has a model, has a weight, has a color. But the values differ from car to car. Now this car here is Tesla. You can have Volkswagen, you can have Nissan, you can have Honda and the rest of it. Now, but the values, then the model can be different also. Secondly, car objects have the same methods like car start, car drive and the rest, but the methods are performed at different times. That means the number of kilometers you drive for T500 will be different from a Honda Civic car or a Honda end of discussion car, just to buttress that. Now, an object is a variable that contains multiple values at the same time. That's what we are dealing with in JavaScript. So let's see an example. Let's scroll down. An object contains multiple values at the same time. Let's look at the HTML code. Doc type HTML. It's an HTML program. Body, you have H1 JavaScript objects. That's what we're treating. H2, creating an object. Then this is a class AP, paragraph, ID, demo, which we already treated in several other classes. Now, for the JavaScript, we start with our script. Now, this is actually a text, just to create a text with a double slash, create an object. Now, this is the code, which is important. Constants, which we've talked about in our previous lesson, used to declare a variable. Now, the variable we want to declare is car. So the constant is the car. Now, the JavaScript object now, which is in parentheses here, the type is flat, model is 500, color is white. Now, if we scroll down a bit, to display the data from the objects, we'll use the normal JavaScript display output document.getElement by ID demo.inner HTML equal to the car type. This is a text message plus car.type. What's the car.type here? The type here is fiat. Then you end the script. So let's see this how it works in the code. Let's come here. We take our JavaScript objects 7.1, double click it. Now this is the output. Let me bring it in the recording screen. Okay, let me bring this down a bit. Bring this a bit. Okay, fine. I'm here now. So this is our output, JavaScript objects, creating an object. The car type is Tesla. Now let me open this file in our Notepad++. I right click, Edit with Notepad++. Okay, now let's look at the code itself. Look at it here. Now it says the car type is plus car.type. Look at the car type is. This is what is written here from the car type is. Then the object is what you put here, the car type, which is the type here is Tesla. Look at it here. Now I can decide to change this to Volkswagen, Volkswagen. If I save it and I refresh my page, you see it says Volkswagen. Now let me do something with the object again. Where's my code? Okay, now I can decide to say now I don't want to use the car type, I want to use the car model. So let me put model here, model, remove this, and I said the car, change here this, the car model, just for the text to rhyme. The car model is, and I save it, and I run it. You can see the car model is 500. So you can see we have changed the content of the object in our display, and it displayed what we wanted. Now let's make progress. Let's go to second one, example 2. Now, an object initializer can span multiple lines. It is not affected by spaces and breaks. Okay, let's check what we are in this context here. We put all the object. If we look at it, constant car, type is Fiat, model is 500, color is white. We put them all in one straight line. Now what we are saying, the other example 2, they don't have to be in a straight line. You can write them like this: constant equals to person, open the parenthesis here. Now the first name is John, comma, put them in another line. Second name, last name is Doe, age is 50, eye color is blue. Now they are not on the same line, but this can also work in JavaScript. Then to display it, we say document.get element by ID, inner.html, person first name, which is this one, John, is person's age 50 years old, and you end the script. So let me look at the script again. Okay, so that's constant person. After you have entered the normal information from doc type, then you come down. Okay, let's look at the script. So you enter the script here. Now let's check it out in our JavaScript. Okay, so this is 7.2, JavaScript 7.2. Let me scroll up a bit. Okay, it's 7.2 here. Now it's loading. Let's see the output now. Okay, creating JavaScript object using the object literal. Down is 50 years old. Now let's see the code. Let's see the code. Always see the code behind it. Right click, edit with Notepad++. Okay, so you can see we did not put them in a straight line. Constant person. Now look at the output. Person dot first name, which is John, which was written here, John, plus is person's age, which is 50, and the years old is added. I can decide to change this to 65 here. Okay, and I save it here and I refresh it. You can see John is 65 years old. So that is how to use the second example, where it says that it is not affected by spaces and breaks. Now let's move forward. Example 3. Yes, so now you can create an empty JavaScript object and then add properties. What does that mean? Let's go back to the code, doc type, HTML. body, creating JavaScript objects using an object literal PDI demo. Now, so the script, we want to create an empty object. Now, constant person, which is what we did before, but now in this parenthesis here, now we have an empty object. We did not put anything here. Now we're going to add the properties. How do we add the properties? You say person.firstname, put it as John, person.last name, Doe, person.age, 50, person.eyecolor, blue. Now, these are all the properties that will be added into this variable, this function here, this variable here, or this object here. So let's see how it goes there. You can now reprint it by document.getID equals to inner HTML person.firstname plus is person's age years old. Now let's see how it works in your JavaScript 7.3. We double click it. It gives us the same output, but let's examine the code. The code 7.3 here, right click it, and we go to edit with Notepad++. Okay, now it's an empty object. We added the functions, person, last name, Doe, 50, and the rest of it. And by the time we brought out the output, which is this document.id.inner HTML, person.firstname plus is, person.age is this. Like we did before, we can change this one to Mark, for example. We change it to Mark. If we save it and we refresh this, you can see Mark is 50-year-old. So what does that mean? You can create an empty object and populate that object with different variables inside the object. Now let's make progress. Okay, now in example 4, you can create a JavaScript object using the new keyword. This is important. And the function to use is new object. So let's go right down. So doc type HTML body, create JavaScript objects using the new keyword. Now the PDI demo paragraph. Now let's examine the script. This is the script from here to this point. Now create an object constant person, which is the function, the object we want to create, equals to new object again. We put a comma, a semicolon, person first name John, person's last name Doe, person's age 50, person's eye color blue. Now display the object document.getElementById demo.inner HTML equals to person first name, which is done, is person's age 50 years old. Now let's run the script. Under the object new. We double click it. It's still the same output, but let's examine the code. We can see different variations of the code. Now we open the code now. Now you can see now constant person equals to new object. Then you populate it with the different variables inside the code. Then you display the output as you have been told before, or you have been shown. So this is how to use this using the new object function or using the new object keyword. Now let's make progress. We now go to example 5. Example 5 is JavaScript object methods. Methods or operations you can carry out with objects. Now methods are actions that can be performed on objects. Okay, we have the same code, doc type, HTML body, JavaScript. Now paragraph ID demo. Now let's go to the script itself. Okay, so the script, the constant is person equals to, open the parenthesis, first name is John, last name Doe, ID is 566. Now the full name function, this is a function. open bracket again, return this first name plus, this one is a space, plus last name, close it, then document.getID, the first person's full name, because the full name was the one that was used here. So full name dot function, because that was what used. That means you can use any name here. Then script. Now let's see how this one works. Now the method, double click it. Double click the output. Okay. JavaScript object methods. We have John Doe. Now let's open the function, open the code behind it. Right click it. Edit with Notepad++. Okay, you can see that first name John, last name Doe, ID 556, full name function. This function was defined here. Now return the first name plus this last name. So document get ID dot inner HTML equals to person dot full name, which was the function that was defined here. So we can change this full name. Maybe you put any variable name here. You must also reflect it here. So that is just for your information. So we can try it out. Maybe we'll just call it let's call it second name. We put 2 here, second name here, and we discard. Let's try that out and put this one here too. We put 2 name. Okay, let's use something, or let's call it F name. Let's put this one here too. We'll put this one here, F name. Now we save it, we refresh it. You can see the output does not change because the code remains the same. So you can change the code of this function, the name of this function doesn't really mean. Now let's make progress. Now we go to nested object. Now property value, which is example 6, is an object. Property values in an object can be other objects. What does this mean? Now look at this code, doc type, HTML, body, H1, accessing nested and the rest. Now script. What is the script? The script is constant my obj here equals to name John 830. Now there's another function here, which is cars, my cars. This is my objects. This is cars. Car 1 Ford, car 2 BMW, car 3 Fiat. Now we come to the how to display this document.getID.demo inner HTML, my object, which is this one, open bracket, my cars, which is this one, then the car 2, which is BMW. Now let's see how this works. Nested, let's double click it. Now you see this is BMW. Let's open the code and see how it functioned. Right click to open the code, sorry. Let's come back here, nested. Okay, I did with Notepad++. Now look at it here. So we have the one nested. Okay, we did not put that. Okay, it's like we made an error here. Let's copy that code and put it in the nested so that we don't have an error. Copy this, copy it down. Control C so that we can get the proper, let's see the code here. Okay, the code here is not, we got BMW. Where was the BMW? Nested object. Let me see the nested objects. Okay, let me Control A and Control B, put the code here. This is the proper code, and I save it and I run it. It still gives me BMWs. Okay, so this is the code. Let me bring out the code now, which we have just added. Now it says my obj, my objects, which is this, my cars, which is this function, car 2. Now let me change it to car 3 and let's see what happens. Car 3 here. Look at, I change it to car 3 here. I save it. I run it, refresh. You can see it has changed to Fiat. It has changed to what? to Fiat. Let me bring back the code. You can see I changed this content. So this is how a nested object is an object within an object. The first object we did was my objects, then the second one was my car, and we're able to display this information based on this code here. So let's make progress. Okay, now we come to JavaScript object display. We have done this, but just for the purpose of reminder, this is example 7. To display an object type, HTML, JavaScript object, and the rest. Now the script is simply the same. Create an script, constant person, name, John, age, 30, city, New York, to display the objects. We've used a consistent code, document.getElementById. What is the ID? Demo. And you put the demo here, .inner.html equals to person. If we put this code here like this, it did not specify any particular. It's supposed to be person.name or person.age, but you just said person. Let's see the output of this. Person. So let's say display, double click it. Now you see what it displays here. It displays object because we did not specify a particular object. Now let's go further back and specify a particular object. Let's open the code. Object just display. And I say edit with no part plus. Now you said person here. It's supposed to be person. So if I say dot person dot name, for example, name, save it, refresh it, it displays John. If I come back to the code and I change the person dot age and I save it and I refresh it, you see it relates. So the display, it depends on what you request from your code that JavaScript should display. So there you have it. So what have we discussed so far? If we go back, we have discussed first JavaScript objects. We came to a second way of using JavaScript objects, which is example 2. We also looked at you can display empty JavaScript object and populate it using a empty code here. You can also use the new keyword object. Then you can also, we talked about object methods, how to use various operations in JavaScript. Then we finally talked about, we talked about nested objects, an object within an object, where we talked about my objects and we talked about the cars, how we can display this code from this. We showed the function, then we finally showed how we reminded ourselves how to use JavaScript display. So that is how what we have treated so far in JavaScript. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop your comments. If there are areas you still want us to cover, please drop your comments too.